If you're running a franchise, for example, such as for a restaurant, you might be wondering how to keep proper track of all your franchise agreements and other contracts that commit you to both managing as a group as well as all your obligations related to your specific locations and franchisees. So, I'm Boody Voogd, founder of Contracko, and we are a contract management platform. And I'm just going to walk you through the foundations of how this works and also how you might do it in our tool. So I'm logged into Contracko, and a free trial is available. We'll get to that later. But I have generated with AI a bunch of contracts for a fictional franchisor called CrispStack Brands. Now, I'm going to demonstrate for you how you can go through this workflow by starting with our franchise supply and operations agreement. So let's just take a look at this. Okay, so what does this contract stipulate? Well, first of all, we're the franchisor. In this case, we have a franchisee. It's for a chicken brand, and it's a 5-year deal. So basically, in this contract, we stipulate the rights of the franchisee, which things we are going to do as the franchisor, what the approved suppliers are, rules around restaurant operations, reporting systems, how to correct one another if there are breaches in the contract, what the term is, and so forth. So this is a pretty succinct agreement. Now, there's an addendum, which we'll get to in a second. I could show you briefly. We have this opening-readiness rider, which basically stipulates what the franchisee, in this case the Prairie Foods Franchise Group, has to deliver or commit to or complete to be able to open a new location. So for example, they must have trained the team, they must have shown to the franchisor, in our case us, that they have uploaded all their permits and so forth. Now I'm showing you all this because we're going to put these contracts into Contracko, and what Contracko is going to do is going to help you track these contracts, extract all the metadata, run an AI analysis, set reminders for all the key dates, and store the interrelationships between the documents. So here we go. So we're going to go to the contracts tab. In this case, I'm going to say, what was our company called? We were CrispStack, that's right. CrispStack Brands. We're just going to create a folder for it right here. And I am going to take this, which one was it? Supply and operations agreement. We'll drag it in here and upload it. So this is going to start to run an extraction in the background. Now, one thing I'll show you already is that within my Contracko account, I have already set up CrispStack Brands and set my legal name to be the name of the company. So we'd seen here it was CrispStack Brands LLC. And what that does is it helps our system know who we are in this contract. It will try and deduce it if you don't have that information, but giving it increases the accuracy of the system. So basically, whilst this is running the AI extraction, I can also show you how contract types work as they relate to our franchise agreements. So for example, in this case, you'll see we have 2 franchise agreement contract types. Actually, I'm going to remove this one here. And this one is worth showing you. So I created a contract type, and that's like a data structure with custom fields for values that we want to get out of these franchise agreements, for example. So we might want to track what's the franchise type, what's the location of the shop, is there any franchise fee, what's the royalty percentage we're getting over any revenues or gross profits or operating profits, and so forth. And what our system will then try and do when it extracts a contract is it's going to try and match it to that type. So you could actually see here the extraction is done and actually a contract type has been matched. So let's take a look. What has our system found? Okay, so it has generated an AI description. So it says, okay, supply and operations agreement governs the supply program, operating standards, reporting standards, great. Okay, so it applied the franchise agreement type that I just deleted, so it's one of the other 2, and it had 2 custom values, so franchise type and shop location, so it's extracted both. And what you can do actually is you could click these fields and see where it's been extracted from the document. Great. Next, you're going to see from the parties, we are CrispStack Brand, so it's flagged it as our entity. And then it's also created an entity for the counterparty, in this case, Prairie Franchise Group. And what it will have done is taken whatever information was in the contract related to the counterparty and added it. So if there was an address or a contact person, it would have added it. You'll see here it has gotten all the terms of the contract. So effective date, September 1st, so it's gotten that. End date, it's also got it because it's a 5-year contract. It doesn't seem to be auto-renewing, so that's definitely something to pay attention to. What's the value of the deal? You could see it. What's the governing law? And it is also exclusive, is the deduction of the system. Okay, so what events and notification has it created for us? Okay, so it's identified that the contract is ending in 5 years. And now let's look at which notifications it created. It created a waterfall of 3 of them. One is 3 months prior, one 1 month prior, one 1 week prior. And what you can do in Contracko, and if I had teammates in this account, I will just demonstrate briefly, but if I had teammates in this account, I would have been able to go to these notifications and select a different recipient. So you might have one internally for you as a franchisee group, and you might have one to your either your franchise manager or the manager of that group who is the franchisee. So you could escalate and also write a message that will go with the notification that that recipient gets. Great. Now, I also want to show you the AI analysis. So this is a risk analysis our system executes. It will look at quality of the contract, risks, obligations, liabilities, and gaps. So here you'll see comprehensive overall supply chain operating and reporting obligations, generally favorable to us, though key liability and venue terms are missing. Okay, so it identified some gaps. You'll see in terms of risk, 0 high, 1 medium, 1 low. So we'll take a look at the risks. There is no liability regime. Okay, so that's something to pay attention to, maybe to update in your contract template that you're using for these type of deals. And no specification on how to do and where to do dispute resolution. And then this is really interesting. On the obligations tab, our system will distinguish between dated obligations, like has to be done on this date or at the end of each quarter. Triggered notifications or obligations, which is basically once the contract is terminated then, or if a deliverable is due then. And then ongoing are basically constantly relevant obligations throughout the life of the contract. So in each case, where possible, if our system's been able to find a source clause, you can click it and it will highlight it in the document. It will also flag who it applies to. So like this applies to the counterparty. They must connect their restaurant systems to our reporting interfaces. And no obvious liabilities flagged. Okay, so that's the AI analysis. Now, if you'll recall, we also had an addendum to this document. So let me just pull that up. So here we had the opening readiness rider. So I'm just going to drag that in. And the way Contracko works is we consider a primary document, the thing that we base the original contract off of. And then you can add secondary documents like appendices. So in this case, this opening readiness rider. We're going to flag the status as the current. So this is the current version and not a draft of this rider. And we could run an AI extraction on this, in which case it will pull the data and allow us to supplement the data that's already on this contract. But I'll just disable this quickly. And you'll see, okay, you're able to view this document as well as this one. Great, so let's say we want to do an annual review of this contract. We could create an event, say, call it annual review. We're gonna talk with management team about franchisee performance. And let's say we want to repeat this, and we're going to do this July 1st. And we're going to repeat this yearly. And do we want a notification for that? We could say, yeah, 7 days beforehand, cool. And then plan meeting is going to be the notice. So this would be how you set up an event in Contracko. And now that you have this contract here, you could also talk to Clara AI about it. So with Clara here, you could say, okay, summarize this contract. And it's going to do that for you based on all the information it has, both about the document and the extracted values. And you could talk to Clara about things like what could be improved, how would you renegotiate this, are there any risks to look out for, and so forth. So what has Clara said? It's given us the deadlines. Overall risk is low, so that's really nice. And basically, you could collaborate with Clara this way to get the most out of this document. Now, maybe, and you'll have seen this, so when we ran this, it took the old franchise agreement type that we had, but now we have only a single one left, right, for a franchise agreement here. So maybe you want to modify this based on what you see comes out of your first extraction. So you might say, okay, well here, what might we add? Protect the territory details. Maybe we want to have a point of sale system, and then we could say, is that a yes or no? Does the franchisee have to use our POS and payment provider? And you could save that. And then once you've added something like that, if you go to this contract and you apply this new franchise agreement contract type, you'll see that that can come up. So here, point of sale system, does it have to use it? And like hypothetically, let's say they do, we save it, and then that is going to show up here on the contract. So this is really how you can modify it to the type of contracts that you use for your organization. Then I just want to talk about organization in general. So here I put this in a folder, but like let's say you want to distinguish between vendors. You could put your vendor agreements in here. Let's say you want to put your franchisees, all your franchise agreements you could put here. And what you can do in Contracko too is you could run bulk exports. So like let's say you want to get this information out either individually or on multiple contracts. You can run that export and you will get an Excel with all the data, plus all the AI analysis items and the documents and the party data. So you get all that. So this is like a brief overview of how this works. I think I should keep it at this. This is a good first impression. There are many more features in Contracko that I could talk about. The easiest might be that you could use our signature feature to actually sign these documents. When they're signed, they'll come into the system and they'll be extracted straight away. And another way you can get the documents in, that's also worth noting, is you could upload them like I showed you, or you could use a dynamic email address that's generated for you, which you can email the documents to, or you could integrate with Zapier or do it with API. So you'll see here, we have Zapier integration, so you could use whatever e-signature tool you want to use if you don't want to use ours, or monitor a cloud storage folder so that if you add a contract in there, it will automatically sync to our system. And you could even use our CRM. So this is just one click to connect, or you could use the API. So that's a good first impression. Hope this is relevant to your organization. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Now, to get started, you can get a free trial for Contracko by going to contracko.com, and you can log in. You'll be given a choice of what you want to experience first in the platform, and are able to figure out if it works for you or not. Now, if you wish to see if it is the right fit for your organization, you can book a call with me. Link is on the website as well, and I'd be happy to talk to you. Great, thank you.